Let's Talk Tunneling is produced by XRJV and proudly sponsored by DC Adams Group. Why safety matters.
Going away, all these little jumbos. Yeah. No, old Greenie put us onto that. Yeah.
One thing I want to ask you about is obviously when you talked about cuts and designs and making sure that, you know, every cut was different or you had 3 different patterns. Can you explain what that means? Like drill and blast, obviously, you're using explosives, but drilling holes. Can you explain what you meant by, you know, having different patterns?
Yeah. So some people call it a cut, some people call it a burn. So what you're trying to do is you're initially trying to make a void, make a hole so that all your drill holes and blast holes have got something to go into. So you have like you have your burn or your cut. So you know, depending on what burn you have a shot hole, and then you'll have so many reamers. So the reamers are usually about, what are they? About 4 or 5 inches, and then you'll have your normal drill holes are around 40 mil, 42 mil holes, and then so our most common one would have a shot hole in the middle, and then would have like 4 reamers around it, so that when you set that hole off, all those other holes collapse into it, and then you bring all the other holes into it. You have a diamond square or square diamond shape, and you take that all the way out to your ribs, and then you've got the back holes, which is your roof, and then you've got your lifters and easers that are in between those holes. And depending on how hard the ground is, it depends on your spacings. We had a lot of soft ground where the ground used to squeeze up, so we tended to try and depended. Sometimes you could spread them out a little bit, sometimes you could bring them in, and sometimes you had to shorten your cuts. So the key is to sort of, you know, getting a good flat floor, so it's easy to muck. And with your cuts, you usually move them around, so you're not always blasting in the same area, because you know where your burn or your cut is, that's where it's all it usually shatters. So you try and move your cut to a different side, move it across, so it's got a good ground to drill on. And and we back then, like we had all Atlas Copco, but you know, the old Tamrocks were the go, and we only had twin jumbos. We had separate bolters, like we never bolted and meshed with the same jumbo. We usually would come in, muck out, bring the bolter in, bolt, mesh. We never done any shotcreting, because a lot of places now they shotcrete, they even shotcrete the base. And the thing with the Waihi ground, man, it was like upside down riverbed, like you could scale, but like scale all the rock out, but it would just keep opening up. It was like you take one rock out and then it just all come in. So you sort of had to be able to know what rock to take out, what to leave. You know, it'll look bad, but it was quite surprising how well the rock held up there. And we done timber setting, we done steel sets, we done stoping, we done declines, we done razors, Windsors for stoping. So we done everything. It was good, and you know, it was good to be able to sort of stay on a cycle for a whole week, because then you could sort of learn from your drill patterns and everything, that, you know, where you could change things, or how it would pull. So, and a lot depended on the guys charging too, you know, because a lot of the times, you know, they'd be under the pump, so they wouldn't spend the time. They couldn't have the time to clean the hole. So, you know, a good jumbo operator, he'd spend the time keep getting the holes clean, and then that would make the charge up crew's job easier, and because they could charge it up a lot quicker, and then you'd be able to pull a full round. You know, you haven't got a face that's all over the place and the ribs that are all over the place. You know, and then you get your maximum amount of ground out, and then you got a good face to work on. You know, your floor's all good, because we used a lot of power gel. We used all power gel on the floor because it was wet, and Ampho all around the face. And then we tried different products in the backs to try and stop the overbreak. But yeah, just depended. Yeah.
So when you're doing that sort of work, and like you said earlier about trying to set up your cross shift, all those little jobs make the big job easier, like Dad used to say all the time. What do you mean by making sure that you set up your cross shift, and what could you say to this generation now, especially in tunnelling or even in mining, guys that are in mining, how important that is?
Well, the goal at the end of the day is to make your job easy, and for me, it's always been, it's not about what I get or how many meters I get, is if I can look after my cross shift and make it easier for them, well, and we all done that, it just makes your job so much more enjoyable, and it's a lot more efficient. So it's just like those little things, like gear, for instance, making sure you're always stocked up, and your housekeeping. Sometimes you might have to sacrifice a cut, like when you're on a TBM. Sometimes it might be more beneficial if we just pull up, clean everything up, get everything ready, and then the next crew comes in and then they've got a fresh start. Sometimes it takes that, and in the long run you'll make up. So it's just thinking about how you would like to walk into your job each day, and what's your most enjoyable day, and what's the best part about your job, and what makes it easy. And I know people over the years have said, he's holding us up again, but everyone's too much in a hurry about getting outside, man. It's not about that, those are your mates you're looking after, and they're relying on you to be doing the right thing, and making sure it's all safe and it's all set up. They'll push button start, but some people's interpretation of a push button start is a bit different to some too. So yeah. But and there's nothing more satisfying than walking out at the end of the day knowing that you've given 100% and that your mate's going to come in and it's all ready to go.
That's awesome, mate. Hey, so early 2000s, and this is when I met you. So would have been Cross City Tunnel, 2003. From there, you ended up at Eastlink. So what were those two jobs like for you coming back? Because you were in Martha Mine, you'd been over Brisbane, you'd sort of been jumping across the ditch pretty much, and then you've come back to Cross City Tunnel. So what was your take on that job? And then obviously Eastlink, and then you spent a bit of time in Melbourne.
Yeah, the old Cross City was a bit of an eye-opener. I never worked in sandstone before. And we had a fair bit going on there, and man, there was a lot of good blokes there, like a lot of experience. And we had different drives going in different directions, and it was good, because I'd caught up with old Mr. Kofsky, old Caddy Cat, and Ronnie, because we all worked at the cross together, the bullfighter, and Rod Bro, all the old cuzzies, and worked under Johnny, Johnny, he's got a style, and, he taught me a lot. He taught me a hell of a lot, actually. I've got a lot of respect for that man. And Nigel, Nigel was the one who gave me the job, sort of through a good mate of mine, Brent Finlay, Jumbo. But no, it was, the thing that got me was like everyone seemed to be rushing around, and it was just like chaos, Like, I was thinking, hell, you just chill a bit, just because like a lot of the times you're just creating more work for yourself, I think blokes need to stop and have a good think, and just like, because for me, the number one, your number one enemy underground is water, right? So, you got to stay on top of your water, and that's what Johnny done, He always had someone. You remember, he was at Gary on that excavator. He used to come up, get to that end, go back again, and that's Johnny, you know. And what you can see, would you rather be working in, you know, buddy, things up the dirt up to your toes or up to your knees, you know, all those little things. You got to stay on top of the water, you know, and your services, your ventilation. Yeah, it's just, it was different ground, you know, exactly the same hazards and everything you go through with hard rock. Different gear was slightly different, but ventilation was a big thing. But water, you know, staying on top of that water too. But I couldn't get over all the flash gear, hey, flash trucks, man, air condition, shit. But and yeah, the thing that horrified me was when I hopped in them and man, how putty everything was, you know, rough. Fellas don't know how to look after the gear, you know, buddy. You know, simple things like hoses, go to get a hose and it got a hole in it, just chucked on the side. Bloody hell, because I don't know whether I'm a fanatic or what it is, but you know, I hate clutter and I hate mess. Yeah, I just, you know, like everything to be in order. Yeah, so it was good to run into old Caddy Cap. You know, we and him go back a long way. It's funny because me and him started in Waihi together. So yeah, we've crossed paths a few times, the old fossil. Yeah.
And then you went to Melbourne.
Yeah, yep. I come down here with Craig. Yeah, that's good. He's a good man, old Craig Jury. Yeah, he's choice, old Craig. And Steve Taraki, another top man. Yeah, and you know, it was different ground again. We was pretty hard rock, like bluestone, like some areas there. I think when we started one of our portals, shit, it was up to like 200 plus MPa, like the road headers. We end up putting spikes in the feet because you could only cut like 25, you know, advanced 25, 30 mil at a time. And then, you know, your picks, we're just going through the picks. Yeah. I had old Daryl Tiki. He was our operator. Yeah, he was the man. Yeah, we had some good operators there. We had Harry, Ash, buddy Richie. Yeah. Nah, it was a good job, eh? It was different again, you know, big wide tunnel. We hit some hard ground, then we decided to drill and blast, but then we had some big overbreak, so left some pretty big voids in there where we would have to shotcrete up, you know, but he used a lot of shotcrete. Whereas the other end, it was like that tunnel's only 1.5 k's long or something, but we sort of struck the hard end and the other end was a little bit softer, eh? But, you know, then we benched. Yeah, no, it was good.
And then you went from there back out to the coal mines.
Yeah, where did I go from there? Yeah.
Crinum?
Shit. Yeah, out to Crinum. That's where I caught up with the old man. Yeah, that was good too, you know. Hard case, you know, tunnelers all keen to go, but in coal, it's a whole new ball game, different rules. But, you know, some of the old tunnelling habits are a bit hard to change, and you know you have to adapt to like to get in and get the job done. And I remember the old man, he was continuously on the pumps, fucking, because coal, you know, it gets in the water and it just floats, and so you don't have then you end up having like 2 guys just full time cleaning and watching the pumps and stuff. But you know that was an eye opener, because for me the only other coal mine I've been to was over in Huntley East. And we used to go there for mines rescue. Like that mine blew up, and so we used to go in behind the stoppings where it was 100% methane. So we used to go in there and do different exercises, recover gear. But I remember the first time going down there, like, because the ground just spits out at you, coal. Fucking like everyone was no one was wanting to go to the front. Everyone was trying to hang to the back, because, you know, and then you got your breathing apparatus on, and you got your straps done up that tight, you know, you're bloody almost choking yourself because you're freaking out, you know, because you're in the methane, and yeah, after going there, and then because the ground was, you could see how the ground just squeezes in, and I remember every time we used to come out there, and we used to say, fuck that, they can have the coal, yeah, you know, we'll just stick to our little hole in Waihi, yeah, but nah, you know, a lot of respect for the old coal miners, man, you know, the old gas, say, geez, the old silent killer just creep up on you, yeah, but nah, that was a good job out there, you know, it was hard yakka at times, but hey, I enjoyed the roster. We were only doing like 5 shifts, but we battled through it, and you know, to the credit of the boys, you know, no one really got seriously injured because it was a whole new game for everyone, and you know, everyone soon adapted and you know, got on with it. Yeah.
So then you come back to Legacy Way after that, eh? And that's when I caught up with you again.
Yeah. That was another good job too. It was to me, it was done with a lot of common sense, you know, because nowadays, you know, there's that much red tape and rules and stuff in place now. It's getting harder and harder to do your job. But they came with a really good system and, you know, common sense. You know, we weren't like safety and all sorts, you know, not saying that safety is not important, but, you know, sometimes it can go to the extreme where it stops people from thinking, you know, you still got to have that awareness and be alert about what's going on. And the ground we had, was awesome. That was wicked ground there, far out, you know. I hate to say, but that's one time I don't mind being in the snake pit all day. There, shit, you could eat your lunch off the snake pit there, man. And you know, it's good meters, and that was because you know we had good crews, everyone worked together, eh? But it was a good approach by the company, you know, the way they went about things. Yeah, it was just, you know, kept things simple, and we had a really good superintendent on our side too. You know, Bruno, you know, he was a good man. You know, I remember there when we first started off, when we had trouble building our first ring, man. He was there for about 24, 36 hours. You know, everyone would be trying to bring him fruit and chocolates, but no, he was just on the old smokes and the old coffee, pumped up. But yeah, no, he was a good man, eh? Like, poured up. That's his game. The Rock, yeah. No, he was a good man, old Bruno. But yeah, no, that was a choice job. But all the jobs have been good, eh? You know, they all have their ups and downs, but hey, that's what it's all about. Yeah.
So where to after that, Kopu? What happened? Where'd you end up?
I think we might have went to Gladstone. Yeah, that was another good job too. It was small machine, TBM. We just done a tunnel for the gas pipeline from the mainland to Curtis Island. Yeah, that was another job with Johnny. Yeah, so yeah, we were spoiled there. We were like 5-star accommodation. Yeah, that was what we done, a 2-week on, 1 week. Oh, you know, I remember cruising through Gladstone years ago when I left Mount Isa. Me and the missus decided to go before we settled down again. We're going on a working holiday, and I pulled up in Gladstone. I had an uncle there. He was like a boat builder, and so we stopped there for 6 hours, give him, you know, just to have a look around and give him a hand. And fucking first thing I remember was those midgies, eh? Wicked little flies. They're just nothing worse than midgies. And I thought, nah, I'm never coming back to this place. Now I know, never say never. So I ended up back there, and where our bloody our portal and station box was just on the edge of the mangroves, eh? And man, you'd be sitting outside in the Loki in the man cart waiting to go in, and you know, because there's big sheep piles and piles there, and dark and damp, just perfect place for midgies, and you'd have your cap lamp on, you'd have rags around. I used to smother myself in bloody sun cream. Just put it on real thick so that they just get stuck on the sun cream, and then because around your neck, there's a couple of boys come up like swelled up, from the bites, or they pissed you. Yeah, or I think Harry and Johnny Totala, they all bloody swelled up. But yeah, and that was that had its challenges too. We got stuck, so we had to rebuild our head under compressed air. First time it ever been done, like in Australia. We were in about 2.2, 2.4 bar. So we had to cut, weld, and rebuild our cutter head. We were only about 500 meters short, but the head got worn out. So yeah, that was quite freaky. Like the first couple of times we had to go in because no one had really done any oxy cutting and welding in compressed air. Eh? So yeah, I think we done something like 97 interventions. Took us about 4.5, 5 weeks to rebuild the head. Yeah. So yeah, no, it was you go in for 3.5, 4 hours under compressed air, and then about 3 hours, 3-4 hours to decompress. Sort of have your beans watch and then go back to camp. But yeah, no, it was good. It's times like that, you see who your real mates are. When you got a lot of water flooding in around you and shit's going on, and it's like critical stages. You see when you see the best in blokes come out. Yeah, we had a good crew there, and it was good that like there's 2 or 3 of us that always worked together. So he's a good man to have on a crew. I'll bet he's a farm boy, typical farm boy. Nothing phases him, but he's in times like that when times are getting tough, you need to be able to crack a joke and just break the monotony up. But yeah, and then Branko was our operator. Yeah, he's another good man too, Branko. So nah.
So then, where did you end up after that, Kopu? Did you come back tunnelling or go back in the mines?
Oh, no, I think Sydney. Yeah, might have been North West Rail. Yeah.
And what station were you at there? What was that all about?
We were at Cherrybrook. So that's the old man was there too. Yeah, that was a good side, eh? Well, probably one of the best blokes going nowadays, and up and coming management is old Phil Shanley. He's I think a lot of people can take a leaf out of his book on the way things are now, and how to organise and run a job and get the best out of people. Eh? That's what good bosses do. They know how to communicate and get the best out of people. And Phil's always been like that. Eh? He's he leads from the front. He's leads by example. But and he's a good listener too, which is a big thing with any supervisor. And that was a great job too. A lot of good people on there. Yeah. And then we went North Connects after that. Yeah. And then done a stint back at West Connects as well. Done a drive there. Yeah.
Well, mate, you certainly have been around, and now you're back down in Melbourne and just still toiling away. What's happening down Melbourne for you?
Oh, well, we've run into the problem with the spoil we've got down here. It's got PFAS, and so they're still sort of trying to work out how they're going to deal with it. We've been put on hold for a while now. It's getting to crunch times at the moment, I think, for the company, and think for everyone. It's big machines. I was really, I've been looking forward to jumping on a machine this size. We've got pretty small crew here, but it's good. Got good management here to sort of pick out a lot of things that when we do get started, I think we're gonna, things will flow really good. I forgot to mention, in between all these other jobs, I've done Northern Sewer Project, which is after Eastlink, and that was probably one of the best TBM jobs I've done. Was a variety of things happened on that job, and on this job, I've sort of been able to hook back up with some of those guys that were like engineers now that have moved up the ladder and have been overseas and come back now. So, a bit frustrating for them, they'd be keen to, put all that experience into practice, and then now we get held up with this. Big machines though, 15.6 meters. Everything's big. So it's going to be a big learning curve for everyone. Comes with its problems like any job. Comes with its risks. Heavy gear. Just the services alone. You 8-inch pipes and segments. One segment weighs 14 ton. 10 segments to a ring. I think the grounding is going to be a bit of a challenge. But hey, it's all good, It's all learning.
I think for me, Kopu, knowing that you're on the West Gate and you have been held up through uncontrolled, from a tunneler's point of view, it's out of your control. But what really struck me with the guys that stuck there was the loyalty that you have, and that builds some camaraderie, as we all know. A question for you is what's the morale like with the boys that are staying there, or the people that are staying there and waiting for this project to start up again? What's it like?
Oh no, I think everyone's we're still positive. We've got a really good maintenance team here. We're sort of under the guidance of Vince Muscat, who's I've worked with him in the past when he was just on the tools, but now he's superintendent, and you won't find too many guys as efficient and really safety minded, and always looking for better ways to improve things. So he's keeping us busy. We've done a lot of modifications to the team, to the machine. I was hoping we'd be able to get another job out of it, and the way it's going, the longer it goes on, it's unlikely at the moment. We're here in Melbourne, and we've got the likes of Nat's our general super, and Sean O'Reilly, top bloke, and our project manager Andrew Shepherd, man, awesome team. So I think morale's, we're all positive, and we just got to get on with it. We're still lucky enough to have a job. That's the main thing. There's people out there that are struggling, but we've still been able to work all the way through all the COVID and everything. So yeah, that's my opinion anyway. I don't, it's been good for me because I'm working closely with the maintenance crew now. Might be a boilermaker after this. It makes you appreciate too, the stuff they do. I think them, the maintenance guys and the ball gangs and people like them are the unsung heroes. Really, they're the lifeline to the front. All those fellas at the front, they take all the glory, but they're nothing without these fellas at the back. Hey, yeah.
That's good, mate. And obviously, during your journey over these 26 years has been incredible, and I thank you immensely for what you've shared. I do have a few questions for you, if you don't mind. So, Kopu, over the 26 years, you've done, a lot of different variety of tunnelling, and like I said earlier when I introduced you, you've dealt with a lot of different methods. Can you tell us what it was like for you when you first started, and what was some of the tasks that you had to do?
Yeah, I suppose for me, and sort of in Mount Isa, it was the heat, and you're down so far in the air, because you're so deep. And then there's so many drives. It's like freaking. You get a bit freaked out because you're scared of getting lost. And then you get all the boggers cruising around, big machines, and you're sort of thinking, "Fuck," you and then you've got the rock. You grow up pretty quick, and then especially the likes of Mount Isa, like there was a lot of old. Probably the average age back then was probably about, the guys underground would have been around. They would have been all in their mid-40s. Like I say, there was like 55 different nationalities, and most of the day shift guys were like Yugoslavs, Polish, all big men, and they never used to say much, So you had to sort of figure things out for yourself, and I don't know. I think a lot of the time was just a test to see what you've got. Yeah, but they'll pull you up, if you're going to do something wrong. But most of the time it was just grunts and this and that, and it can be a bit daunting. It's not everyone's game. But I think I was lucky. I was in a level where a lot of those guys were like in their twilight years, the older fellas, and they've been around. That's all they've done all their lives. Been doing it 30, 40 years. So and then we had our ship boss. He was Kim Bradbury. He was like, he was in his late 60s, and man, he had nothing was a problem to him. Just cruisy airs, happy as Larry, and we had lots of fellas like that, and it made you feel safe. A good place to be, and was sort of, just for me, I suppose, it was just getting to that change of environment and stuff. And then once you've been there a few times, and just learning all this new jargon, seeing all the different gear going on, and but if guys see it, the guys see you've got a bit of go in you, and you're keen, and you're asking questions, and get in and do as you're told. They get behind you, and then they support you all the way. But if you ain't got the goods, they soon let you go too. So, but no, it was pretty daunting at the start. But no, but I loved it, especially once I got up into the headings as a contract miner, because you had a time limit, so you're always thinking ahead. You're always thinking about your cross shift. You're always, because it's a cycle like anything. You're doing the same old things every day, but but just staying a step ahead, 2 or 3 steps ahead of yourself, and just being aware. So you got to be switched on, and you got to have that sense of urgency too about when you do stuff. Not like today, the fellas are, they're a bit, they're elsewhere. Like I always remember because the first job I was going to come over to was Northside Storage Tunnel, and I think Uncle Manu was there, and I was in Waihi, and he says, "Boy, before you come over here, you make sure you got your head screwed on, and you got no shit going on at home." So yeah, I thought, that's so true. When you go to work, because you're there 12 hours a day, and everyone's relying on you. You haven't got your mind on the job. You're putting yourself in danger. You're putting all your mates in danger. So yeah, it's not just a walk in the park.
It's awesome, Kopu. I think you answered a few of my questions, but I'll throw this one at you. How much of the projects nowadays changed, if any, from when you started, and what's been the biggest change that you've seen?
Yeah, well, I suppose every job's safety has always been a priority, and designs now, they're all changing. So that means we have to use different machines. A lot of it is trial and error. And we're finding that, you know, some of these new machines aren't as good as the old machines, you know. And for instance, the old shotcreting, I think it's pretty hard to go past the Mako and shotcreting. And then, you know, like I've said, some of these things, some of the safety rules that are brought into place was brought upon by ourselves because, you know, someone's got injured, and a lot of the times it's just for something silly, you know. To us, when we look back on it, it's just what, you know, who would do that, you know. So now that brings in more rules that makes the job even like takes longer to do and harder to do because, you know, it's either the systems let them down, you know, the trainings let them down. So yeah, for me, there's, you know, a lot of the rules that are coming in now. It's stopping the guys from having to think and, you know, being aware and you know, just take a bit more care. But then in saying that, you know, it's not only the new guys that are getting hurt. It can be the experienced guys getting complacent and, you know, taking shortcuts. You'll find that, you know, probably 95% of the injuries could have been avoided because someone's gone away from the process, you know, and that's why we have these rules in place. But now it's starting to get more and more, and now it's getting to the stage really, and now you got to have a qualification or you got to have a ticket, and you know, it's just more time, and it can be frustrating when you know you can do the job and you've done it all this time, but because of one simple error, it's just killed it. And you know, that's what I love about tunneling is there's so many facets to it and so many things you can do, you know, that you wouldn't normally be able to do. But now that's all starting to come in and sort of take that excitement and that, you know, challenge away from the job.
Oh, that's brilliant, mate. Is tunneling a good career or in mining? You know, you've done both, and I know that you've got your kids in the game now. You know, Dad talked about your son that was in it, and you know, he said he was a spitting image of you, and you know, had a lot of time for him. And now your daughter, who's done really well. Is tunneling a good career? And what makes it a good career?
Oh yeah, you know, like I say, it's what job can you do where it's, you know, every day is different, and you know, you're multi-skilled, you're multitasks, and you can use everything that you learn underground. You can you can get a job anywhere really, you know, out there on the surface, because it covers so many things. You know, look at all the hazards we're exposed to, and you know, for me, what I've done in the past too is, you know, I've had a break between jobs and I've just gone and done something normal, you know, out there in the real world, and just see how people live and what they do. And it's not until you do jobs like that you realise, like, shit, you know, the job we do is we're privileged, and you know, we're able to do lots of things and be able to adapt. But you know, and the financial gains from it is like wicked, eh? You know, it's just, you know, it's just mind blowing today what guys can make. But you know, and saying that it's only as good as the way you manage your money and stuff. You know, it's such a good career to get into, because it can take you all around the world, different places. You know, meet so many good people. You know, all from all walks of life. Yeah, and you know, like anything, you're not on the big money for nothing. You know, there's a lot of ups and downs, and you know, especially for families. You know, it's a big commitment for young families. You know, and one thing I've got to give a big shout out to is all the wives and partners. You know, that if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't be able to do a lot of things we do, because they make a lot of sacrifices. I've probably got the easy job by going to work. And you got 7 kids. It was easy. I'd rather go to work. I'm not on call 24/7. Yeah, but big shout out to the wives and the partners. That I reckon they've got the hardest job. And you see in our industry, there's been so many breakups, and relationships just don't last. And that's without your partner, you're buggered really to do the hours we do.
That's beautiful, Kopu, and I'm glad you said that, because I owe a lot to my wife, even through the struggles I've been through. So yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you very much. I've just got the last question I want to ask you, and it's been interesting asking the other people about that's come on Let's Talk Tunneling the same question. But what advice would you give yourself or your younger self starting in tunneling or mining 26 years ago? If you could send a letter back 26 years ago to that younger Kopu coming into Mount Isa there, what would you write on there, and what advice would you give yourself?
Yeah, I suppose it's like anything in life, eh? It's learning the basics, master the basics, eh? You do the basic things right and stay on top of those and master those things. That'll get you through anything. It's all about your attitude, your discipline. Your ego, it's all about you're in a working in a team environment. You've got other guys that are coming in after you, and you've got to be thinking their safety, and they're relying on you to be doing your jobs. But for me, it's always been is just doing the simple things right. The 1%ers, mastering the basics and just doing those little things right, and you'll find that we probably won't have as many problems as we do if everyone just sort of do the basics right. Stick to the basics.
Well, mate, yeah, that's awesome, and this has been an amazing podcast. I've appreciated your time, and I know I could sit here and listen to you, all night, but we'll wrap it up, and we'll close it out there, and thank you again. So this is another episode of Let's Talk Tunneling with Kopu Tutu, and a legend of our game, and a lot of people look up to you, Kopu, and I want to personally thank you for your time and your contribution to a lot of the mentoring and the training that you've done over the years, and obviously a good friend of my father's as well, and he spoke highly of you as well. So thank you very much, and I appreciate it, and all the best.
No, thank you, and appreciate you allowing me to come on here, and keep up the good work. Yeah.
Well, good.
Okay.
Oh, well, that's another episode of Let's Talk Tunneling. So to the next podcast, and subscribe, like, share, and listen in to more Let's Talk Tunneling. Thank you. Well, good, bro. Oh, wow. That was awesome. Cheers to that, eh?
Yeah.